Hi folks, the next one we're going to work on now is we're going to do an olive and cucumber relish, very similar to a tapenade, but it's not going to be as finely diced. I enjoy this one very much on a grilled piece of salmon or pork chops. They're really excellent. It's another one you can up your game with. So I'm going to take a bowl over here and Kalamata olives that are pitted, and I've straightened them out, and we're just going to quarter them up and place them in the bowl. You can also use Castelvetrano olives for this recipe. The Castelvetranos are the great green ones that we often use. They're buttery and they're rich. But the Kalamatas also work excellent with this dish, and I prefer them to a certain degree because it actually adds a bit of color contrast because you already have the cucumber in there. So now you have the black going with the green, so it really works out. But feel free to use any mixture of olives that you enjoy. And it's really important, you just want to quarter them up. The same thing, you don't want to have big chunks of olives in there. It's really about trying to make everything, a little more delicate. It is going on a piece of, grilled fish or meat on a barbecue, but it still shouldn't look like, something that Fred Flintstone made. We really want to make it nice. Got those sliced up. I'm going to place them in the bowl. Into that bowl, I'm also going to add some cucumbers. The same way I taught you how to do them before. Some sliced chives. Some minced red onion. I did this earlier. They're very strong. They have a tendency to make you cry, and I wasn't going to do that on camera. So I minced them earlier, but take liberties to do it at home whenever you want. So folks, we're going to segment out this lemon that I have here. And the real key to it is you need to do something because it kind of has a tendency to just roll away from you. So one cool trick that I learned a long time ago is to cut off the bottom, cut off the top, and then you go through, and it's not going to go anywhere on you. And the next step is you want to go through and remove the pithy skin. And you really want to get down to the point where you have the lemon coming through and none of the skin, because it really doesn't add, the skin adds nothing to it. Well, I guess the flesh, correct, the flesh, the white flesh adds nothing to it. The actual skin, if you zest it, it actually does give you a little bit of something going on there. So I'll go through and clean it up. And what you're looking for are nice, clean pieces. Got a little bit down here to deal with. And the real trick is you want to start at the top and then work your way through on an angle. And you kind of keep the same shape as the lemon. And at this point, we can segment it out and then actually clean up those spots right there. I'll use a chef knife, but I'll actually show you how to do it with a paring knife. It's a lot safer for the home cook. You see now, when you have this lemon, it's all peeled out, you actually can see where the segments are similar to an orange. That's how I think about it. So I'll chase one down until it stops, and I'll go through and get the other one and pull it right out like that. Go back and clean the seeds later. When you get at it, then you can turn it and take it and just pop it right out like that. Same thing, you just want to pop it. Once you make that initial cut, when you take the wedge out, the cuts after that are much easier. And if it doesn't feel right doing that, where you turn it when you go in, you can just come in and cut them all out like that if you choose. Whatever works easiest for you, whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever's safest. I'll take off that last little piece right there. Okay. Now what we're left with are the segments of lemon. Quite often they're referred to as supremes. You don't really see a lot of people just placing these on top of things anymore. I guess it was quite popular as a garnish back in the day. So what I'll do is I'll clean it up and get all that pith off the outside now. And what you're left with are just the nice little membranes right there. No seeds left at all. No pith at all, as you can see. One little piece right there. Get it all the way. And then I went through and I just cut them just like that. So they're little bite-sized pieces. No, they're smaller than bite-sized pieces, actually. They're just... And what happens is when you mix it in with the olives and cucumbers and all the herbs, you bite into one of these and you just get a nice little flavor explosion like that. And it makes it different than just adding lemon juice. You could just add lemon juice to it, and that's fine, but every bite would have lemon juice in it, whereas these will actually give you a little bit of an interesting pop, something you weren't expecting to happen. So we got that. Just like that, you chase them around. And there you go. And you can also add this juice to the cup, because the juice is fine. You just really want to avoid stuff like the seeds and the pith. And now I'm going to stake some basil that I have here. I'm just going to chiffonade it up nicely. The chiffonade, in a traditional sense, is you pack them all together as tight as you can. And then wrap them up really tightly. And you want to go through and just kind of slice very gently. You slice right through them. And just with the other herbs, I'm really letting all the knife do the work on this. I'm barely holding onto the knife. I'm relying on the sawing motion of the knife to get the work done. There's no pressure, I'm not pushing down on these herbs at all. Basil will brown out very quickly. It'll wilt very fast, and it'll show signs of abuse. So you want to slice that as thin as you can. And add that right on top. And then some of the parsley that we washed earlier. Same thing. We're going to tightly pack it and give it a good slice. And then go back through and mince it up. Okay, I'll add that on top of that. To this, I'll add some salt and red pepper flake. It'll take a decent amount of red pepper flake. You don't want to go overboard, though, because it'll become too spicy. And the salt, you have to be a little more delicate with on this one, because those olives do pack quite a punch. So just 2 little pinches of salt. To that, I will add some extra virgin olive oil, probably about 2 tablespoons. And then I will give it a good splash of sherry vinegar, probably about 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons. Give it a good stir to combine. And the beautiful thing about this one is it just has all the flavors of summer. So it's mixed all together, and it's really beautiful. It's nice and moist, and you can see it's got a nice sheen to it. And I'm just going to taste a little bit. And again, it's good. The thing that's the same as the blueberry is that you don't want to have it pulling you in any other direction. You should be able to taste everything all at once. And there you have it. And for the last sauce that we're going to make today, it's going to be chimichurri. Chimichurri is an excellent sauce to put on a heavier grilled meat. You really won't want to put it on a light piece of fish. It would overpower it. You're really looking for something that's got a decent amount of fat and flavor to it. A strip steak, a skirt steak, grilled lamb, anything that's really right in your face like that. And you need something like this that kind of competes with it. It's got the acid and the oil, and it kind of really just cleanses the palate, and it carries everything right through. So I'll start out with some of the parsley. That's all rinsed up and dried. Pack it nice and tight. Go right through. I can't stress the importance of a sharp knife. I recommend you have a good knife on hand. If you're not sure how old your knife is, or if it doesn't really hold an edge, you can always go out and buy a new one, or pay someone to professionally put an edge on it. But it'll make the difference really well when you do all these tasks, and it's a lot safer. I mean, people feel more comfortable with a dull knife, but you're actually more likely to hurt yourself because it'll slip, it'll chop, and you'll hurt yourself with that than you will with the sharp knife that actually knows what it's going to cut into. The parsley's chopped up. I'm going to add that to a bowl. To this mixture, I'm also going to take some basil. I'm going to chiffonade it, which we already covered how to do that in the last lesson. You just really want to get all your herbs nice and not beat up or mangled in any way, shape, or form. And it's important because this sauce really is just herb-based, whereas the other ones had, olives or blueberries going on. This is just straightforward herbs in your face. That being said, it's important when you buy your herbs that you make sure that, you really buy some nice quality fresh herbs. that haven't been sitting around too long, that look nice and green. It's really got to be one of those things where you just look at it and you say, wow. If herbs that you're looking at, don't make you excited, then don't use them. You can use a bunch of different green herbs in this. If the basil at the grocery store isn't good, leave it out. Do extra parsley. It'll be fine, believe me. That's the great thing about a lot of these sauces is that it's a lot of interpretation you can do. And one of the things that I hope you would learn from this is that I'm just teaching you a foundation, and you can take it from everywhere you want from that point. This is cilantro, and I'm going to do the cilantro just the same way as the parsley. You got everything in the bowl right now, just your herbs so far. Like I said, it's parsley, basil, and cilantro. To that, I'm going to add some minced red onion. Very nice, very small dice on there. If you have a nice sharp knife, you'll be able to achieve this. If you don't, it kind of just gets watery and they break up on you. I'm also going to add some finely minced up red pepper. These are just red bell peppers. You take it and you cut off the outsides of it, and then you just go to town. You don't want the seeds or any of that pithy white part in there. You just want the pepper shell itself. Some minced garlic. The same thing with the garlic as with the onions. If you have a nice sharp knife, it'll make it very easy for you to mince it up without actually, beating it up too hard. I will also add the juice of half a lemon to this. You get acidity from lemon and from the vinegar in this recipe. This is dried cumin. You can use dried coriander. You can play around with different spices. I like using cumin in mine. Put about 2 teaspoons in there. And then this right here is a little bit of paprika. The same thing. I'll use about 2 tablespoons. Paprika really isn't a strong spice, but it has an earthiness underneath it that kind of washes out, but it's not spicy spice. I will also add some red pepper flakes to this. And then some salt. This one itself really lends itself to take on a little more pepper than the other ones. You don't mind having a little heat to this one. The other ones, it's just there as a tease. But if this one has a little heat, it doesn't hurt it at all. It actually makes it a better sauce. I'll add some extra virgin olive oil, probably 2 tablespoons. This one I like to think of more as a vinaigrette with chopped herbs added to it. And that's really what it is. That might help you. You want 3 parts of oil to 1 part of acid. And it really is a great way to think about it with this one. Because this one has a tendency to run a little bit more. And what you see, it's got a little bit of run to it, but it's not like a balsamic vinaigrette that just oozes right out all over the place. I'll give it a taste. I could use a little more salt. And a little more vinegar. This one's okay to be a little piquant like that, because remember, you're serving it with something that's got a little more richness to it, such as a steak or a piece of lamb. And there we go. Nice finished product. And there you have it, folks, chimichurri.